another episode of Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
Today we're going to talk about Star Wars from Marvel Comics.
What?
Yeah, we're going to do Star Wars.
What?
Rogue One's coming out. We're going to talk about Star Wars.
Makes
man.
sense. Great.
Yeah, timely.
I'm ready to go.
What?
I don't know much about Star Wars.
Well, yeah.
I get the movies confused. I confuse Star Wars and Star Trek.
That's true.
I've said that on the show before.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna be out for this one. Don't worry. I've got a replacement.
Hey, Tiff.
Hey. What you doing?
I was reading.
Nope, you're on an episode of Back Issues now. Star Wars from Marvel Comics, written by Jason Aaron and art by John Cassidy.
Jason Aaron!
That's right.
He's great!
He's great. So Disney acquires Star Wars.
Right.
Yes. After Disney acquired Marvel.
Right.
And so Disney's like, well, we got to make some of them Star Wars comics. And in fact, in the 70s and 80s, Marvel had the Star Wars comic book license. And so Marvel used to produce Star Wars comic books for a good long time.
Oh.
Then Dark Horse took over the license, and Dark Horse made some of the most epic and cool Star Wars comics of all time. This is the publishing house that made Dark Empire.
Okay, is that the one where Luke becomes a Dark Jedi?
Yes.
And there's
And
a
the Emperor has
clone of the
clones.
Emperor?
Yes.
That sucks.
It's cool. After Marvel quickly gained the Star Wars license, they immediately started publishing Star Wars comics.
That's cool.
And
idea.
the comics are meant to coincide with like the Star Wars cabal that they engineered. That is a group of people who all get together and decide like what's canon, what isn't, what's gonna stay, what's gonna go. You know, these are the people who are in charge of like what they're allowed to do in Rebels and what they're allowed to do in the comic books and what the novelizations are going to use.
Gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers, exactly. So
What George Lucas was theoretically doing with the expanded universe.
theoretically, yes, because nothing got the Lucas stamp if it wasn't approved. It had to have Lucas books on it.
Right.
Nope, didn't give a shit.
Apparently-
He did not read a single one.
No, he did not. He asked them to give them the back of the book summary.
Yeah, and even then, it wasn't. No,
He's like, you got that
there's
written
no
up? Let me
way.
see that.
There's
Yeah,
no
alright.
way he knew what happened at the Truce of Bakura.
I gotta tell you, Splinters on the Mind's Eye, it's okay to...
Oh,
Yeah, you
to
can
get rid of that.
get rid of Splinter.
Yeah, you
It's
Splinter.
okay. Shadows of the Empire, it's a totally different story.
Yes, but
Splinters
we're not
on the
there yet.
Mind's Eye,
Yeah.
you know what's really terrible? I read Shadows of the Empire first.
Oh.
And then I
You're
heard...
like, ooh, another one. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And I remember being like, here we go!
Oh, and it's shorter.
And I'm like trying to like convince myself that it's
That's
really
okay.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's just...
It's
Yeah, I
not.
read it over a weekend and was like, this sucks.
So it's not this.
No.
No.
That's great.
Yes, it's way better than Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
You know what's funny?
What?
The I read many of the expanded universe like post Return of the Jedi books.
Yes.
They frequently referenced the Dark Empire comic book
Yeah.
series. I don't remember any of them ever referencing Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
It's nothing significant happens in Splinter of the Mind's Eye. It's literally just Luke and Leia get stranded on a crappy planet that's like almost like Endor in that it's swampy and it has like little guys in it.
Yeah.
It's more like Ugnaughts than
Yeah.
Ewoks, but either way. And then Vader shows up. The only thing significant is they invent the Kyber crystal,
Right.
which is a crystal that amplifies your force ability,
Yeah.
which is what Luke uses in order to defeat and then de-arm Vader. He chops off Vader's arm and then kicks him into a pit.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
he also kisses Leia again.
Yeah, it's really weird. And like what I don't care about that is that like Luke and Vader meet
Again.
like early.
Right.
And it's
They
like,
they meet in this too. And I thought, oh, we're doing it too much. No, it works. It works.
Yeah.
all
It's
right.
okay.
So
So,
he's not stalking them on a planet for like days. Yeah,
Right.
It's like a brief.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is a brief interaction, and it's all about. So the story's called Skywalker Strikes.
Okay.
He doesn't strike anything, but like the idea is that they're on Simoon 1, or at least the story takes place in Simoon 1. It's a weapons manufacturing plant for the Empire.
Ah.
And the idea is that after the destruction of the Death Star, the Empire is kind of like a little screwed because that was one of their main supply depots. Like the Death Star was like a big
Yeah.
was not just a military outpost, it was also like a manufacturing plant, and they did a lot of stuff there.
They would
And-
have to because of how ridiculously gigantic it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over here on Simoon 1, it's like one of their biggest and best weapons manufacturing plants,
Okay.
and obviously a target by the Rebel Alliance.
Of course.
So it's under inspection. They're working on a deal. The Empire, that is working on a deal with Jabba the Hutt to try and.
Oh, come on.
What?
They don't care about Jabba
No,
the Hutt.
The
No,
Hutts are
the Hutts are, yeah.
international.
they
well,
are.
Intergalactic.
The
like-
Hutts are, but my understanding is Jabba's not.
Jabba, no, well, Hutt, well,
Wait.
that's, forget your understanding, because that's out the window. The idea is that
Right.
Vader, or at least the Empire, wants to use the already established trading routes that the Hutts use.
Okay.
And they know that they, instead of going to war with the Hutts,
Right.
they should just deal with them. But the dealing with them is interesting because later, the idea was that Jabba was supposed to send an emissary to Simoon 1 to negotiate the deal. The negotiation, which of course is facilitated by Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia, both of whom, Luke and Leia, are in Lando Calrissian, Return of the Jedi, Jabba Palace Guard.
Well, at least
Disguises.
we established that they had them, I guess.
Yeah, and then they hung on to them for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But the point being that they had these outfits, and Han Solo puts himself out there. This is the first time that Han Solo puts a name on the Rebel Alliance, or puts a target on his head. Although you'd think that he'd put a target on his head when he shot Vader with his Millennium Falcon cannons.
Yeah.
But for some reason they think all Corellian freighters look the
Yeah,
same.
maybe they don't know who he is.
Exactly. Even though he broadcast his Yahoo over the loudspeaker. But whatever.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, they weren't recording.
No. Vader was, admittedly, he was distracted.
Yeah.
So the idea is that Han Solo is the duly appointed representative of the Hutts, and he's there to negotiate.
But he's not really.
No,
They pulled a switcheroo.
they pulled the switchoroo.
pulled a
Yeah,
switch-
they
Did they
intercepted
intercept? Okay.
the ship sent by the Hutts, and then just disposed of the guards and took their place.
All right.
And by the way, they have a droid, which is the same droid that Forlom, noted bounty hunter and partner of Zuckuss,
Yes.
is there, and he's a scanning droid who's there, who's Han Solo is a small-time smuggler, and he has a known affiliation with Jabba the Hutt. Therefore, he is
Okay.
on the up and up. And they're like,
Makes sense.
okay.
Yeah.
So then he relinquishes his weapon. And you'll notice, by the way, that it's Han, Luke, and Leia, no Chewie, but that's because they planted Chewie in a crow's nest, far away from the depot with a sniper.
Okay.
Okay.
So Chewie's the backup. And,
It's a cool plan.
yeah.
It's gonna kill him inside.
I know he's I'm trusting my guy with two people I don't really know very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so,
I'm the backup.
yeah.
I don't want to be the backup.
Yeah, I'm an 8 foot tall, hairy, screaming monster. I should probably
I'm usually the
not
first
be
line.
the quiet. Yeah, I should not be on a stealth mission.
I
So
don't see why they couldn't incorporate me into the plan. It doesn't
yeah,
seem that
no,
hard.
he is the plan.
Well, no, the plan of walking in there with the
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
meeting with
true.
the Empire and all that.
Yeah, I could imagine them being no. Well, also because Kashyyyk is a
That's
a
right.
slave
They're
planet.
slaves. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Empire would never believe that.
That a
No, but
Wookiee's
they
free and
would,
walking
because
around. Although
they
yeah.
know that he's an associate of Han Solo's, who's an associate of
true.
Jabba
That's
the Hutt.
true.
So that really shouldn't be a problem. It's just that
no,
to
but
be
they
fair,
do need they need a good shot.
That's what I was gonna say.
Right.
And
yeah.
I'm not going to put Luke in the crow's nest. At least not A New Hope era.
He's like, hang on, I'll shoot my lightsaber at them.
Yeah. So they bring Luke, Leia, and Han, and R2D2.
Of
Because
course.
no Star Wars adventure is complete without bringing R2D2 along.
At least they didn't bring 3PO.
No, 3PO is with the ship, and the Millennium Falcon is hidden in the junkyard.
He's guarding the base.
He's guarding the base. And it's funny because the idea is they're going to blow the depot. They're going to set the charges to blow this depot. They're going to blow up this fucking whole weapons manufacturing plant.
Nice.
Okay.
Chewie's there for backup. The plan is that they're going to set the charges, then 3PO is going to activate the autopilot on the Falcon, which should come and pick them up.
Okay.
And that's the plan.
Uh-huh.
And 3PO's on the communique, and he's just like, yeah, this is a solid plan. This is the first time we've ever done anything according to plan.
It seems like it might actually work.
I have a good feeling about this.
Oh.
Which is immediately, you're like, oh no.
All right.
So they get into the negotiation room and they're like, okay, once our negotiator arrives, we'll let you out of this holding negotiation room that we've got set up.
Right.
And Han's like, yeah, we're not going in there. And they're like, what are you? And the officer in question is like, what are you talking about? And then R2 just starts spewing liquid all over the place. And they're like, your droid seems to be leaking. And
Gross.
then R2 then takes out his arc welder and zaps the liquid, and apparently it's super conductive, and it electrocutes the stormtroopers and everyone that it was underneath.
Okay.
Dude.
Yeah, but
I take it there is like no AI protocol when it comes to
no
droids.
yeah, there's no morality protocol for astromech droids. So
Yeah, they don't have to like not kill humans.
no,
Yeah.
they very
R2
they do not have any 3 laws.
No, with R2 they're like, you kill as many humans as you can.
Yeah, because we feel bad about it. You don't have a soul, so you're fine. So they kill the stormtroopers and they leave the officer because they're like, we need to know where like the most crucial like points are
Right.
to strike. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. And then R2 takes out his Rockwell Elder and he's like, Bzzzt. And the guy's like, all right, it's over there. Like,
Oh, you
I
mean
don't want
this
to be
game?
electrocuted.
yeah, he immediately folds
Just
under
caves, yeah.
the
Can't even
awesome
do it.
might of R2-D2's
Oh,
very...
you're going to hurt me? Oh, well, in that case, it's over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very much. Oh, you mean this gate key?
Yeah.
By the way, while they're on their way through the facility, the Imperial in charge is boasting about its. This is the #1 weapons manufacturer in the Empire, and it's 100% automated. It works round the clock, constantly building new weapons for the Empire.
Okay.
Then Luke suddenly senses a presence with the Force, and he's like very, very bad at using the Force at this point. So
Right.
he's taking any opportunity he can to just kind of mimic what Obi-Wan did.
Right.
So they're like, okay, we got to go to this place. We're gonna do. So while they're like going over the plan, Luke's like, okay, well I'm gonna start like, studying for the Force exam. So he's like, he closes his eyes and he's like, and he feels a presence. So he just goes down a random corridor and he finds all the slaves that the Empire's using to make this facility 100% automated.
100% automated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
By lives we don't care.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so Luke.
He's like, oh, we gotta sell his people free.
Yeah, so Luke is like, oh crap. Like, this isn't just a detonation mission. We have got to
Right.
rescue these people.
Yeah.
So this guard has this like light whip.
Okay.
All right.
It's like
I
it's made
guess-
out of fire.
It does, yeah. And Luke just
It's like a flexible lightsaber.
yeah, it looks like that.
Yeah.
So then
They-
Luke breaks out the lightsaber, cuts off his hand, and then frees the.
Nice.
The classic Star Wars move.
Yes. No, that's form what?
It's like a duck chew or something.
This is one of the few moments where Luke really looks capable. He's like, I found some slaves, I defeated their jailer, now we're gonna go. They go upstairs, Han and Leia flirt a little bit.
I like
Oh,
Leia's
okay.
outfit, by the way.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the Hoth outfit.
Yeah.
It's got the Hoth hair as well. She's got
Really?
a hoodie.
And then Luke shows up with all of these slaves, and they're like, okay, cool, well, I guess we're gonna get going, and that's when the negotiator arrives, and it's freaking Darth Vader. And they're like,
There were not going to be any negotiations.
Yeah, he was gonna be
with-
like, here's the price.
that's right. And they talk about that later. Vader will be the negotiator again with Jabba the Hutt.
Uh-huh.
And Jabba's like, okay, well, we'll talk about it. He goes, oh, no, there's no negotiation. Like, I'm here to tell you that you're going to do what I want, and you're going to accept whatever price I offer you. And that's it. And Vader, and Jabba's like, most fair! So
I have no cards. I will take that.
And Vader's standing on the Rancor pit, and he's like, yeah, I'm just not gonna argue. That sounds
That
good.
thing would open and Vader would just be standing there. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I was kidding.
Yeah.
Closes
I'm-
the thing back
Obviously,
over.
that wasn't going to hurt you. It's a joke.
I'm gonna eat my suicide frog.
Bib Fortuna, if you'll just see him out.
Yeah. Bib, where'd you...
Bib?
Oh, I see that everyone's got my entire entourage.
Okay, well,
Even Salacious Crumb has flown the coop. So,
the Rancor's gone. Like,
actually, Vader arrives, and Chewie lets them know, because he's the spy. And he's like, "Rrr," which means, like, Vader is out here. And it's Wookiee for everything.
Vader, yeah.
Wookiees.
And so Han's like, well, okay, Vader's here, which means we gotta leave, like, the back door. And Leia's like, no! Vader's here! Kill him! Chewie, take the shot! And Chewie's like, got it! So Chewie just starts
Yay.
opening fire on Vader.
Nice.
That's cool.
And
fucking
Vader
awesome.
blocks every shot, and Chewie's like, fuck this, just starts unloading on Vader. Vader can't block all the shots, so he uses the Force, grabs all the stormtroopers he can, and puts them in the way. And then
That's awesome.
and then pulls the crow's nest down. And so the whole crow's nest comes crashing down, and Chewie barely escapes with his life. And he's like, a Wookiee assassin. That's kind of new. All right, well. Anyway, obviously the rebels are here, and we should be on high alert. And Han's like, what the crap is wrong with you?
Even
But
though
that is
he
my
would do
Wookiee.
the exact same thing in Cloud City.
Well, yes, but that's later. Because,
Yeah.
like, the idea is here that Leia isn't quite over what Vader did about Alderaan and everything. Like,
yeah.
she is just like, she's out for blood.
Oh my
Right.
god, get over it.
Yeah, it was one planet. You didn't even have any weapons in it. So Han's like, okay, we gotta just cut our losses and hope that the Falcon can cut through the obvious blockade that's probably waiting for us.
Right.
3PO, call on the autopilot, and he's like, oh, I can't, because apparently there are indigenous creatures that live in the junkyard, and they're taking the Millennium Falcon apart. And he's like, well, I left a blaster on the passenger seat, just grab it and make them go away! And 3PO's like, okay... So 3PO like gets
my
the
God.
blaster and he goes into this like ridiculous like speech, you know, where he's like, I'm afraid you'll need to excuse yourselves from the situation, and then he drops the blaster, it bounces down the ramp and then lands at their feet and he goes, I surrender. Which is typical 3PO. Unfortunately, the 3PO dialogue does not hold up. The
That's
things
too
3PO
bad.
says just don't work.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, while we wait for 3PO to arrive with the Millennium Falcon, what we'll do is we'll have to just find a way to fight our way through this Imperial garrison on, by the way, the largest weapons manufacturing plant in the galaxy.
Right.
So they find the AT-AT plant,
Oh.
and they steal one.
Oh, shit.
And walk it, like, through the complex.
That's awesome.
Meanwhile, Luke heard Vader was coming, so he breaks off from the group to go face Vader.
Oh,
Because-
come on,
Jesus,
Luke.
Because Vader killed Obi-Wan. He's
Yeah.
out for
You
blood,
haven't
too.
even gone to Dagobah yet. You
don't even know!
know
He doesn't
anything.
know anything about Yoda, so he's just like, I'm a Jedi, because Obi-Wan taught me how to, like, close my eyes.
Because he gave me a light up sword,
Yep.
and here I go.
Yeah, and let's do this.
I blocked some laser bolts with my eyes closed, so I'm ready.
And with the help of Obi-Wan and the Force, I managed to destroy the Death Star, so I'm great.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
managed to make a shot that I claimed ahead of time was easy to make.
Right.
Yeah.
So I obviously just
Yeah.
assumed I was able to make it. So also Luke is kind of like... Luke is in a weird place because he can't quite fathom what's happening. He thinks he's hearing Obi-Wan Kenobi in his head sometimes, but he's like, I don't know if that's like my thoughts or if that's him.
Or am I crazy?
Yeah, but remember, at this point, Vader doesn't know who Luke Skywalker is. He doesn't know his name. He doesn't know he's the guy who blew up the Death Star. All he knows is you were the kid on the Death Star with the smuggler.
This is driving me nuts because they established that he does know.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
Ah!
So in this, Vader has no idea who Luke is or what his deal is.
Okay.
Because because Luke breaks out the lightsaber and Vader's like, okay, I can already tell you have no idea what you're doing.
First of all, you never hold a lightsaber that close to your face. I'm just
Yeah.
saying right there.
Just
He's
not smart.
But it's
Noob
amazing
tip.
because he says, you have a lightsaber. Who are you? And he's like, you killed my father. And he's like, I've killed many fathers. And then Luke goes for it, and he just immediately like pushes him out of the way. And he's like, it would take no effort whatsoever to destroy you. And he's like, you killed Master Kenobi. And then as he's launching into his speech at Vader, he just takes the lightsaber away from him using the Force. He just takes it.
And Luke's just giving away
But he's like-
everything.
Yeah.
I
Alright,
knew Obi-Wan
alright.
Kenobi!
Yeah.
But does he, and like you're about to tell me, does he recognize his own lightsaber?
Yes. But it will not until afterwards. At first, he just takes the lightsaber. He's
Right.
not focused on the lightsaber yet.
Right.
He just like, okay, here's what's going to happen now that I've got both lightsabers. You're going to tell me who orchestrated this attack. You're going to lead me to where the new Rebel base is. And then you and I are going to go there, and then I'm going to kill everyone, and then I'm going to kill you. So let's do this. And he's like, I am not going to help you. And he's like, okay. And then so he takes his two lightsabers, about to decapitate him, and then an AT-AT foot comes crashing through the ceiling. And Leia and Han are like, oh crap, Luke's down there, and Vader. And Leia's like, step on him! Squish him! And then as
Especially with this slow Ponder's machine that can't obviously turn.
yeah.
It's unclear how it
Yeah,
turns or aims.
just do it.
But as the AT-AT's crashing through the building, trying to like make its way towards Vader, a small band of the slaves went with Luke, and so when the AT-AT comes under attack, those slaves attack the garrison.
Okay, like Ewok, they swarm them.
Yeah, and then Vader slaughters most of them.
Oh.
Like, Luke's victory is completely stolen by Vader.
Yeah.
And he's just like, okay, like, we've got all the rebels that are here right now, and I think there's like 3 of them. So
How does Luke get his lightsaber back?
Vader throws it into the bodies of his victims. And when the guy dies, Luke picks it up. Don't worry, Vader picks it back up later.
What?
Every time Luke like waves his lightsaber at Vader, he's like, give me that.
Like, just not. I don't know who you think you are.
Yeah, but it's amazing because like Vader just is slaughtering all these people and everything's going to shit, and Luke is like, what have I done? Like, I'm not forget being a Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm not even good at like what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Right. I'm not even a decent, like, agent.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what is going on in this panel, but I love these two working together because
Oh yeah, well the rest of the slaves are on the AT-AT.
Okay.
So they're trying to get it working, get it rolling because it's the only one that doesn't have cannons hooked up.
of course.
Oh.
Of course, how convenient. But so one of the slave Jawas and R2 are working together to get the
but I
fucking
love
cannons
that
hooked up.
because
That's
R2 should
cool.
be like,
Ew.
Yeah, fuck
you
you.
stole me. How
the only
how
ones of
Jawas.
you I've dealt with were really not cool to me.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there, and he's just like, no, it's totally cool.
Yeah.
You look like you're in great condition.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
You have an owner? Where is he?
I noticed you have a little spot where a restraining bolt used to
He's
be.
like,
You know, we manufacture those, by the way. So Luke decides to try and like help, but there's no way to help. And then he sees the swoop bike fleet that they're also engineering, and he's like, I know how to fly those things.
Okay.
okay.
So we get speeder bikes in this scene.
Not swoop bike, speeder bike.
Yeah.
they're
Swoop bike is...
swoop bikes are from Jabba, and speeder bikes are from the
I
Empire.
always assume swoop bikes are a little bigger and a little more.
Swoop bikes are bigger. We've seen them in Shadows. but
Yeah.
My point being, it's the same thing.
Same.
So
It's a
Luke.
hover bike. They're all hover.
Yeah, it's a it's a speeder bike. That's what they call it. So Luke jumps on the speeder bike and then just starts mowing down stormtroopers. He's like, okay, now I know how to do this because I used to bullseye womp rats in my T-16 back home.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
So he starts picking off stormtroopers, and Vader is just like, this kid is a little bit more of a badass than I expected. Like, I wonder what you were up to, Obi-Wan. And then Han and Leia are like, okay, it's time to kill Vader. Like, we're gonna step on him now.
Right.
And
Like, he walked right where this thing's foot was going to go, so now's our chance.
Yep, and it's funny because Han and Leia are like having a little bit of a ceremony, like, you know, like, Leia's like, do it for General Kenobi. You know, he's like, all right, nice knowing you, Darth. Which is one of my favorite lines in this because, yeah, that's a very Han Solo line.
I could hear
Yeah.
also your friend Jason saying that.
Big time, yeah.
Right?
Nice knowing you, Darth.
Quirp.
So then they put the foot down and Vader holds it up with the Force. And that's when he starts shaking the whole AT-AT apart with the Force.
Oh,
And then R2 announces that the cannons are working.
Ah.
And so they just open fire on
Yes.
Vader. And he is caught entirely off guard. And
This must be kind of a weird day for him.
It
A Wookiee
is.
tried to
Yeah.
kill him. Some kid showed up with a lightsaber.
and now
Yeah.
he's being, like, assassinated by an AT-AT.
AT-AT.
Yeah.
And when the dust settles, there's no Vader. And they're like, woohoo!
As we vaporize him.
Yeah, for all we know, he's just a douche in a cape. You know, like,
Right.
they don't know he's magic.
Right, right.
They just assumed that, like, the AT-AT was broken or something. Although it's obvious that he's holding it up.
Right.
But, so then, you know, Han's like, but this thing is slower than molasses, so let's fucking get 3PO on the phone.
Right.
And they're communicating with 3PO, and he's like, oh, I'm afraid that I've been dismantled.
I'm actually in pieces right now.
Yeah, Vader wakes back up, and his helmet's off.
Oh.
Shit.
Oh, and that stormtrooper sees it.
And he goes, oh my god! And then Vader just, with his head, turns 360
Like,
with...
no one can see him? I don't understand.
What do you
Well,
mean?
no, because like
It's the first stormtrooper to find him.
No, but like
But why does he kill him?
Because nobody can see Vader like that because it's
weakness.
makes him look
demoralizes
weak?
him.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Because they'll go tell everybody, like, oh my god, Vader's head is so gross.
Yeah!
Or he's just like a
He's
squishy.
well, it's like, you're a man.
Yeah.
You're there.
instead
Yeah.
of like being this
Like a force of nature.
yeah.
Yeah, he's supposed to, like, physically represent what the dark side is. You know,
Right.
he's like,
Yeah.
it's scary and dark, and,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but that, like, Imperial officer sees the back of his head and
He does, and yeah, well, the back of his head, though.
Yeah.
But also, for a second, also he's an officer.
Yeah.
This is a fucking grunt.
Right.
We don't-
It doesn't matter.
You're not even real.
That officer knew better.
Also, he's like a clone, so it
Exactly.
doesn't even matter.
So he gets the call from Agadine, the overseer.
Shut up.
He gets the call from Agadine, the overseer, and he's like, "Okay, so there's no way we're going to be able to stop the countdown. This thing is going to blow. Permission to abandon the facility."
They don't have any like bomb diffusers.
Well, they whip some up really quick because Vader's like, "Permission denied. If this facility blows, so do you. Get to work." And then
So okay, I just want to flash back really quickly to the fact that they are going to blow up the whole facility, and they found a small amount of slaves,
yes,
as though there aren't a whole lot
yeah,
more.
there are
Like
thousands of
thousands of
slaves
them?
in
Yeah.
different buildings all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be.
And they're just like, if we don't think about it, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's like
they're not right in front of me.
There were a lot of slaves
that's
that
like
Luke
blowing
freed.
up a planet, Leia.
Yeah,
You know.
you should get over it.
Yeah.
So the creatures are stripping the Falcon for parts, and they're making
They're
it.
really creepy looking.
Yeah, they are. They're taking advantage of the fact that it's a comic book, so it's like we don't have to like worry about them looking really shitty with CG, or,
Right,
or
right.
really
We just-
impossible to move with puppetry.
Yeah.
So then Chewie appears to rescue 3PO and fix
Yeah,
the
okay.
Falcon because that's where Chewie.
I was gonna say, how are they gonna repair the Falcon? Because like,
because that's it.
there's
Like it's
several
taken
pieces
apart,
they're
doesn't even
probably
take
gonna
off.
remove.
Yeah. So Chewie assassinates these creatures that took that took 3PO.
Right.
And he's like, "Nyah," which means like I'm here and I'm gonna fix the Falcon. And so
Oh my god.
so then the AT-AT comes in contact with
Everything.
Everything.
The garrison. Yeah.
well, because it's a weapons manufacturing
yeah, so
plant.
it's
Like
filled with weapons.
we got ATSTs, we got those awful things from the Gungan battle in Episode 1. Vader takes down the AT-AT, and there's this like sweet tender moment where like Han and Leia just look at each other like we're gonna die.
Yeah.
It goes down. Han is down for the count. Leia's holding them up and shooting as many stormtroopers as she
That's
can.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Luke shows up on the speeder, and they also canceled the explosion.
Ah.
so-
they canceled the apocalypse.
They canceled the apocalypse. So the facility's back up and running, and the bomb's not going to go off.
Okay,
Right.
so they've utterly failed.
Everything
Yes,
is
and
failed,
Luke is
yeah.
like, I can't die with you. I have to blow up this facility. Otherwise, everything we've done here is for nothing.
Right.
So he gets on the speeder and leaves, and Vader is like, I gotta find out more about this kid.
Right.
So he takes one of those like low ground transport things, and he pilots after Luke.
Okay.
And Luke winds up flying into the main power generating center of the facility, and they're like, "Whew! Thank God we got that settled, because otherwise." And then Luke opens fire on it, and it's like, "Rip, rip," like facility will blow up in the next 3 seconds. And the the overseer is like, "Oh no, we can't have this happen, or Vader will have my." And then Vader knocks his head off with his ship. You're like, what?
What?
Now, this is shades of Dark Horse, because in Dark Horse's Star Wars comics, they had no comics code, so like they
Right.
were incredibly violent. They did not shy away from in the Shadows of the Empire adaptation. I remember Luke like turns on a lightsaber into a man's head.
Oh,
Like
I
he
was
like
what are you doing?
He has the lightsaber here, and he's just like boom, and it just displaces where his head was. Like
That's
Wow.
cool. This is an amazing image of Vader.
yes,
It's amazing because it's a little more Ralph McQuarrie.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's really cool.
Yeah, Cassidy knows how to render these characters in the kind of like detail that you want, while also depicting the actors you know.
Yeah.
It's great.
Really cool.
So
So he blows it up.
he blows it up, and he narrowly evades Vader and boards the Millennium Falcon and escapes.
But
Oh wait, what happened to Han and Leia?
Han and Leia, Chewie gets the Falcon, and he flies over there and rescues
gets them and-
He
Okay.
Chewie shows up while Leia is like supporting Han and killing
Oh,
the
okay.
do they save any of the slaves?
There are a few slaves that make it.
Okay.
Like,
oh yeah, I can see them.
There are a couple.
Okay.
And so they leave, and they're like, and Leia's the only one who could pilot the ship, along with Chewie.
Right.
But Chewie is.
So really, Chewie
But
should be
Chewie's making repairs on the ship itself.
okay.
Oh.
Let's
So-
just
because the hyperdrive's probably broken. So.
Well, no, that's the one thing that wasn't broken.
Oh.
She's like, this thing had better get to Lightspeed, or this is it. And it does. And she's like, all right. And Han's in the passenger seat, and he's just like out. And she's like, wow, your little ship actually managed to perform the way it was supposed to for once. And he's like,
It's probably because
like,
Han
don't get
was
used to
not
it.
Yeah.
at the console.
Yes. Yes. So then Vader is talking to Obi-Wan like into the into the ether, where he's just
Right.
like, that boy was your last hope, wasn't it, Obi-Wan? It'll be all the sweeter when I destroy him.
That's awesome.
And you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
well,
really
you
cool
didn't
image,
yet, and he just beat you.
This
Yeah.
guy loves drawing Vader.
he does. Who wouldn't?
I know, I'm just saying that.
John
like,
Cassidy is
duh,
awesome, so
in
yeah,
the
his
window
Vader-
of the thing,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So cool.
yeah. But so Luke learns from this experience that he is not ready for anything.
Right.
Right.
Or certainly not for facing Darth Vader.
Yes.
Or,
And
or
he's just
saving
like,
people. Or
Well,
No,
he
he's
saved
just-
a few people.
Yeah,
that
but,
was
like,
even
it's-
part of the plan. So
that's
if you
true.
save one slave, like that's better than
it's better than nothing.
I guess.
Yeah, but he's just like, man, like, did I fuck up? And so he's
Well, he
rethinking
was-
his whole.
like Ben told him to run when Vader showed up, but he didn't.
Yeah,
By the time Luke gets to Yoda, Yoda has every right to be like, he
this guy doesn't know shit.
Like,
He can't do crap. He's like an idiot. He fucked up
yeah,
everything.
he's too impetuous. He's too like gun ho. No,
Yeah.
I'm not training this kid.
Yeah.
No,
It's
it's
gonna
true.
go exactly the same way.
Yeah,
I like this.
yeah.
Okay.
I like.
I
This.
like
Now
this.
doesn't displace Shadows of the Empire.
No, I meant Splinters of the Mind's Eye.
Oh,
Oh, Splinters.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I meant like, but as a thing that takes its place,
Yes.
it like leads
in time. Yes.
better into Empire. It feels like for right
Yeah.
now.
yeah. But
Well, shocking, because Splinters of the Mind's Eye was so
so influential
seminal
and great.
important, yeah.
Yeah. We get a quick prelude into the Dune Sea where a couple of dudes who work for the barkeep on Mos Eisley are tasked with dumping the body of Greedo.
Okay.
And
Nice.
they fly by Obi-Wan Kenobi's hut, which is like really out there.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, if this place is so unpopulated, whose house is that? And they're like, that's Ben Kenobi's house. Don't worry about it.
It's,
And
He's
then
a
it,
I mean, it's just a crazy old wizard.
Yeah.
that's what they call him. And then it does that like da like close-ups in his house, like in Obi-Wan's house. And there's a box there that says for Luke.
Oh.
It's like Obi-Wan didn't get to tell Luke everything.
Oh.
But there's a secret box that Obi-Wan had for Luke.
That's
Alright.
cool.
And so Vader goes to Tatooine to negotiate with
Right.
Jabba as the negotiations failed on his own ship. They have that hilarious
Aw.
conversation where Vader and Jabba are talking, and Vader's like, "Okay, well, the deal is set. We're good. I'm gonna go because I don't want to be on this crappy planet any longer than I have to."
This place sucks.
And Jabba's like, "Whoa, where are you going, man? Like, we just negotiated a deal. Like, let's have a party
with my dancing girls and stuff.
Vader's like, it is like 100 degrees. I am in full black armor. I
black
am,
leather armor."
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going
Plus
back
there's,
to
like,
the ship.
This place is like filled with sand.
And I
It's so
hate
coarse
sand.
and rough.
Oh,
It gets everywhere.
Yeah. Especially in my breathing apparatus.
and my
so-
shoes.
Yes, and my boots. So Jabba says, like, I always conclude a deal by watching something die. And
Oh.
Vader's like, oh, now you're speaking my language. So
That's creepy and weird.
he doesn't
Yeah,
say
that's-
he doesn't say that.
So Vader's like a sadist?
No, it's just Vader like agrees to the deal.
Okay.
So then Vader and Jabba like go into the sail barge,
Okay.
and they fly across the Dune Sea and start torpedoing banthas.
Oh. That's
And just
bizarre.
listen to their screams in the night as they murder banthas.
So, like, when the early American settlers rode through and just killed bison
Just
for
killed
no
like
reason.
mountains
only they
of
didn't do it
buffalo,
like
yeah.
for they did it at least for trophies. They were just like, no, I just want to listen to them
No,
scream.
they didn't always do that. They would just leave them dead.
Yeah, and they did, and they're just a sea of dead banthas. And you're like, oh,
That is messed up.
yeah, and then it's one of the only prequel references in the whole book where he says something like, Vader stays because he wants to know more about the kid. And he knows that the kid was with Obi-Wan, so maybe the kid started here.
Maybe
And
there's
Jabba's
information on
like,
Tatooine.
yeah, and so Jabba's like, well, I know that I knew that Ben Kenobi lived here, and he was a real pain in my ass a couple times. And he's like,
that's
who?
cool.
And he says something like, who would have thought that anyone of note ever came from this crappy planet? And
So-
Vader's like, and that's it. And you're like, okay, all right, I'll
What?
grant you that.
So Vader immediately, Vader knows that Obi-Wan was on Tatooine?
Yes,
The whole time?
he knew he came from Tatooine because that's where the Millennium Falcon came from.
Yeah, he tracked it, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. I was like, whoa!
yeah.
Yeah, because they had it on the Death Star, so they would have checked the logs
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
So Leia goes to Mon Mothma and Admiral Akbar, and she's like, we need to get on another mission. I gotta get, because Leia is just, working through her grief by just working. So she's like, we gotta get on another mission. And they're like, every mission that you, Han, and Luke go on, you almost die and everything blows up.
It's a total disaster. I don't know what it is with you people.
Hand in your badge!
They're like,
You're
You
almost
wrecked
cannon,
20
like-
cars!
they're like, there's a whole other team. They're almost the mirror of you.
But they are way more effective.
Yeah.
They're done a week in advance.
They get cake when they come back.
Yeah, they come back with rations. With more than they had. What's it called? She's like, no, we're more than capable. We can handle it. Like, she's speaking for Luke and
Right.
Han. And Mon Mothma's like, are you sure that everyone on your team agrees with it? They want to go with you on these missions?
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes to visit Luke, and Luke is training with the stupid ball again. And
Hey, at least he used it again because we never saw that. And
no,
I'm
he's
like,
got two of them this time, and they're all.
That's a useful tool. Why wouldn't he ever use that again?
So he's using two of them, and it's not working.
Right.
And they just keep
not
zapping
hitting
him. And then he gets angry, and he destroys both of them.
Oh, wow.
And you're like, oh. Like Luke.
The dark side.
Luke's discovering he's more powerful if he taps into the dark side. He's not saying that.
Right.
At no point does he say, like, the dark side is stronger from my point of view. It's just... he gets his ass kicked like a farm boy, and then he destroys them.
Right.
And then he's like, I can't go with you, Leia. Like, I need to know if Obi-Wan, like, left anything for me, or had, like, some kind of information
Right.
that
I
I might
just
use.
do this on my own.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he resigns to go to Tatooine.
Okay.
So he takes a leave of absence and goes to Tatooine in his X-Wing, and that's when we go back to Tatooine and we meet this chick who's like in this armor, and she's looking for Han Solo. And we're establishing there's a badass bounty hunter who's not afraid to get her hands dirty, who's hunting down Han Solo.
Like she's wearing a
Oh,
bird
is she gonna
mask.
run into them on Ord Mantell?
Not Ord Mantell, no.
Oh.
She's not. No, that's Boba Fett.
Oh,
Boba Fett
okay.
run.
Is it really Boba Fett?
I think so. I think that it was
Is it mentioned in
established.
this book?
No,
Oh.
no, because they don't go to Ord Mantell.
Oh.
But
I always assumed it was Zuckuss.
It could be Dengar.
yeah. So
Just the crappiest bounty hunter we could
Yeah.
think of.
Well, that's why Han got away easily.
yeah, he just pushed him.
And then
He went, oh,
and then
don't
they just
hit
go
me.
and whine
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it to Jabba.
It'd be cool if it was Bosk. At least that'd be a neat fight.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
anyway,
There's their own report.
so Luke and R2 go to Tatooine, and there was a squad of Rodanians that were tapped for information from that mysterious bounty hunter from before.
Okay.
Okay.
And then in a bar, they are cornered by an unseen bad guy who is grilling them for information. And they're like, we don't know anything about Han Solo. Okay, we're sorry. And he's like, I'm not looking for Han Solo. Like, I'm looking for information about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's Boba Fett.
What?
What?
Vader hires Boba Fett to find out information about
Oh.
Obi-Wan Kenobi and what his connection was with the boy.
So he's just always hiring Boba Fett. For
No,
stuff.
this is the first time he hires Boba Fett.
Okay.
But
then
Vader's
he-
like, I'm not saying a moment more on this planet.
Nope.
I
Yep.
would rather
I'm
just
gonna
hire
outsource.
someone.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and that's Vader.
Yeah.
He immediately...
That makes sense because we know Boba Fett works for Jabba, so
Yeah.
it's
Right, but he
plausible
could've-
he's already there.
He could have left a garrison there. He could have done it. He's like, no.
No, I'm just going to call it
we're
Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And if this works out, maybe I'll call him again whenever
Yeah.
when I can't
And, like,
find the
6
Millennium
other
Falcon.
people.
That's desperation. That was literally just like I think actually I don't think that was desperation. I think that was like incentive. That was like, Boba, you're not the only bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Well, I think it's probably
can
the
replace
Empire
you.
has rules on like you have to like give the
No.
job to like
Oh, you think
you
there's
need to
equal
get like 7 different
opportunity?
bids.
Yeah.
You know.
No, because the Imperial officers in question in Empire don't even want bounty hunters there in the first place.
That's why I always thought he hired them all, because he's like, you guys are screwing up.
Yeah.
And now look at all these bounty hunters I had to bring on board to
Yeah.
do your job.
That's right.
Look, they're gross.
Yeah.
He's trying like
One of them doesn't
incentive.
have shoes on.
He's trying incentive through non-violence. It's
Yeah.
a totally different
Yeah.
No,
perspective for him.
that's
It
Vader.
does
That's a
not
leader.
work.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was their like Byzantine like HR policies or whatever.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
So
You
anyway,
just hire one guy.
The Empire's an
That's
equal
every
opportunity
time.
employer.
Yeah, that's how do you know? How do we know he's not milking you?
Right.
For credits.
well, and how do we know like this is really Boba Fett? He could be. It's just a one costume. He could be franchising out. He could have dozen Boba Fetts.
You're indicating that HR has to deal with Vader.
Yeah. No,
no, more like Vader has to deal with them.
I think.
I-
I think the second he goes into that office and they like pull out a file, he's just like, that's the end of that.
Maybe they're like, look, these orders come direct from Palpatine. You
Yeah.
want to take it up with him?
The last remnants of the HR department have been swept away.
I can just imagine Vader calls up Palpatine. And he's like, hey, these guys say that like these rules come from you. And he's like, oh yes,
yes,
I'm sorry, but you know,
we're all bound by the same laws.
we're all slaves to bureaucracy. You know what I'm saying?
Just because your boss blew up in the Death Star doesn't mean you don't have a supervisor. So, Boba Fett is in the cantina, and he's grilling folk for information. He's at the cantina.
Cantina.
There's the douchey No
guy.
Blasters guy. And he's just like, okay, before we go any further...
No droids guy?
Yeah, the No Droids guy. He says No Blasters, too.
Oh, he does?
When he ducks in cover.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
There's
that.
a lot of the same people here. I like that.
Yeah, and he's just like,
Yeah.
I would like to know about the boy who was with the wizard.
Like months ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, well, I think they're implying that it wasn't really that long ago at all.
Oh, okay.
So, one, like, little guy runs away. Like, he's starting to run, and Fett catches him. And he's like, I don't know anything! And he's like, you knew enough to run.
Oh.
And then he tortures him until he drops the name. And
Oh.
the kid who ran away is one of the douchebag people that gives Luke a hard time in the deleted scenes of A New Hope.
Oh, really? That's
And he
cool.
references, like, the crappy nickname they gave him that was poorly written by George Lucas in the deleted scene. Like, he references Biggs and Dak, and he's just like...
And power converters.
And power converters. It's like, we went to a Tashi station. So, Fett is grilling Cantina patrons for information about Luke. Han and Leia go on another mission, which goes completely awry. They steal a small Imperial shuttle, and...
Okay.
Wow.
They steal a small Imperial shuttle, and they have a code clearance, but Han doesn't trust that it's going to work, so that he pulls evasive maneuvers just as the code works.
Oh.
And so they wind up, like, trying to
Like,
give
what
them...
are you doing? Why
Why are you leaving? Open fire. So then Luke and Leia wind up, like, finding... So Han and Leia wind up finding a nearby planet, which Han recognizes immediately, and it's like has like a kind of like ion cloud. It looks like a gaseous planet, so it looks like they're not going to be able to like land. When they get through it, and you see through the clouds, and like there is a surface, and it's like actually a great smuggling location that Han knows about.
Okay.
Oh.
Because Han and Leia are on a scouting mission to find new, like, unknown outer rim planets for the rebellion to actually like take root for.
Oh, for like the base. Like,
Yes.
What will become Hoth.
Yes, because the idea is that Han wants to fix the Millennium Falcon, and suddenly he is given, like, he's stonewalled for parts, because they're like, we're running low on parts. And so if you would like parts for your ship, you're going to have to go on this mission for me. Leia's trying to keep the family together.
Right.
And so they're scouting out locations. And, like, once we find a location, then we can, like, have all the parts we need.
Right.
So they go on this mission, they find this crappy planet, and it's perfect. 'Cause he's like, she's like, how many people know about this planet? He's like, only like a couple of people. And she's like, great, this is gonna be great. Unfortunately, the like atmosphere fucks up like the navigation of the ship, so they're gonna have to call distress or whatever, figure out a way off this planet. But right now they're stuck there.
Okay.
Okay.
And Han knows it very well, and he winds up like pulling a Jack Sparrow moment on the island, and he like does a couple of paces. He like knocks on the ground, pulls up this box, pulls out some Corellian wine in a couple glasses,
Oh my
and he's
God.
like, you know, Your Highness, we're gonna be here a little while. And so he pours 2 glasses, and then when it cuts back to them, he is wearing the Corellian wine. And she's like, I cannot believe that you used this opportunity for the rebellion to try and score!
That's amazing.
Really, Leia? You can't believe
Yeah,
that?
can you not believe that? Really? So, Boba Fett gets the name Skywalker out of the kid, and then he kills the kid and then leaves.
Okay.
Luke and R2 go through, like, across the Dune Sea, encounter a couple sand people who are ransacking Kenobi's house, and
then he murders them.
he slaughters them like animals.
Slaughters them like
No,
animals.
he
And
scares
just-
them
not just
away.
the
Oh, what is he doing here? He's swinging the lightsaber.
He's because he's being attacked by a gaffy stick. He cuts the gaffy stick.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
he
close
cuts
the
the gaffy
gaffy
stick.
stick,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they run away.
Yeah, and then they run away because they're easily startled, but they'll be back.
In
Oh, yeah.
greater numbers.
Then he'll have to slaughter them like animals.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
There'll be like 30 of them. They're like, we could take this guy. And
Yeah.
he just cuts through.
No. While
I'm sorry. You won't stop. I'm sorry.
if you just run away and not come back in greater numbers, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have this problem.
So you weren't like this.
Yeah.
It's really your
So
fault.
then Han and Leia, while they're stuck on the planet, the bounty hunter's looking for them, winds up finding them, and so she heads to that planet as well.
Okay.
And she's
Was
like,
there a
"Oh."
tracking device on the one
I don't,
Falcon?
I don't remember how she actually finds them. She just like
Does she just...
it just says she just
She's
knows
one of
where
the
he
like
is.
2 people who knew about that planet.
Yes. So Luke goes to the hut,
Does she?
and
Okay.
the place is a mess because it was ransacked.
Right.
And then Boba Fett throws a flashbang grenade into the hut and blinds Luke.
Oh.
Which apparently also knocks R2 over.
Yeah.
Does
Well, it's a big
R2 scream?
Oh.
No, Luke does.
Oh.
But R2's on the fritz and Luke is blind, and Boba Fett's like, I got you now. You're the kid who blew up the freaking Death Star.
Oh.
And I got somebody who wants you real bad. And he like hits him in the face with the butt of his gun.
Oh.
And he's just like, that was the butt of the gun. Now if you'd like to see the front of the gun, you better stay down. And Luke barely manages to like fight him.
Okay.
He punches him and he like hurts his hand because he's wearing
Because
armor.
he's wearing armor, yeah.
And he just starts kicking Luke around, and then Luke breaks out the lightsaber. He's like, I'm not going anywhere with you. And he's like, oh my god. Like, look at you. You don't know what you're doing, and you're blind. You got your little glowy stick right there. And so Luke just starts whipping the lightsaber everywhere, but he's blind, and it's reminiscent of the scene with the fucking targeting droids. He's just like, alright, that's enough. I'm just going to shoot you. So he breaks out the blaster. And then Luke holds up the lightsaber, and he deflects the laser.
Cool.
And so Boba Fett ignites his jetpack to evade the laser blast.
Okay.
He slams into the wall that carries all of Obi-Wan's stuff, and then the box for Luke hits Boba Fett in the head and it knocks him unconscious.
Nice.
And you're like, sweet.
Okay.
And Luke is like, for Luke, all right. Well, we'll call this a win, R2. Let's get out of here.
I came for. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
Thanks, Force.
So the bounty hunter arrives on the planet where Han and Leia are stashed, and Leia's like, who is this person? And the bounty hunter says, like, why bother asking him? I'm Santa Solo, Han Solo's wife.
What?
What?
And she takes her mask off. And we're
Yes.
like, oh, wait, we've never seen her before.
Yes. Yeah, it's this like cool black chick that's like a badass and claims to be Han Solo's wife.
Okay.
And Han is like, oh my god. And Leia's like, what? Like, what? And
Oh.
yeah.
Really?
Is she really his wife, you mean?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No. She and he used to be smuggling partners.
Okay.
And to distract a gang boss, they had to put on a ruse for him that would distract him. And the ruse was that these two notable smugglers, Santa Staros and Han Solo, are getting married.
Oh.
And so they had like a really, really impressive looking ceremony, but it wasn't real.
Ah, okay.
But she's been trading on being Han Solo's wife.
Interesting.
And she knows that there's a price on his head because of what he did for the rebellion.
Wow.
Gotcha.
So to her, it was real. Like, no, we are married.
Kind
We
of,
had a
yeah.
ceremony and everything. He's like,
Kind
oh
of.
my god.
Yeah. He's like, this is why we're not together. So Luke opens the box and he finds a journal. And it's the autobiography of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, it's the personal journal of Ben
It's
Kenobi.
the next comic that's going to be coming out from Marvel Star Wars Comics.
That's right.
And it doesn't say that fucking Darth Vader is Anakin.
No.
So he left out some pretty important parts of his life.
Well, he's not going to write that.
He retconned it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Remember, he did. He's whatever. So it doesn't, because then it would be ruined. You can't ruin this.
I guess if it was for
Well, he was
Luke,
intending for Luke to see it, yeah.
yeah,
So he left
so
that
this
out
was.
intentionally.
He probably ripped some pages out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the ending is, I love the ending because it's very, very little dialogue, because it's two characters that shouldn't talk a lot.
Right.
And it's Boba Fett and Vader. And Fett arrives and he's like, I lost him. And Vader's like, pfft. And he's like, but I got a name. And he's like, what is it? And he says, Skywalker. And Vader doesn't say anything, he doesn't move. And Fett's like, alright. Well, I guess I'm gonna go. And then he leaves, and then Vader cracks the glass in front of him
Oh.
and just says Skywalker. And you're like, oh, shit. Like, this is when Vader realizes, like, I have a son.
Right.
Like, my whole
he
plan.
knew he had a son.
Yeah, but he thinks it died.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did not know he had a son.
Yeah,
That's
no.
right. He knew his wife was pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Vader's whole approach, because Vader's this whole thing, he's like, forgive it, but he's an automaton. He's
Right.
like, I do the will of the Emperor, I do this, I do that, and I like, and this is, the Emperor lied to me about something incredibly important.
Yeah.
And suddenly I have like I have a new piece on the board that I can use.
Right.
And
I can't believe the Emperor lied to me after he lied to the whole galaxy.
about everything.
About everything.
But he's literally subsisted by a system of fluid-filled lies. Like, he's just... of lie-filled bladders.
So there's always been something that's bothered me about Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
Why did they keep his name as
Yes.
Skywalker?
The,
Wouldn't you be like, you're Luke Lars now? It sounds stupid, but that's what you are.
yes, because
Man.
then he wouldn't be called Luke Skywalker.
I know.
But also, and I guess in the context of this, it's like they do really well in this book to kind of establish that like nobody knows anybody on Tatooine. Like Tatooine is such a dirtball planet
Yeah.
that nobody who is a mover and a shaker in the
Yeah.
galaxy
I-
is going to be coming to Tatooine asking questions.
You know, Uncle Owen is literally the most responsible individual in Luke's life.
Yes.
Like, he's the most... He's like, you can't join the Academy, because once you get into the Academy...
Your name will come across the roster.
You can't... you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't join the Academy.
You will live
can't
and die
leave.
on this planet.
Yes.
Why is it not weird that Luke's uncle's name is not his last name?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean there.
In the in the movies,
Yeah, in the
it's
movie.
because Lars is the name of the guy who bought Shmi.
Right. No,
So
I
they're
know,
half-brothers.
but in A New Hope, why?
Oh, like in real Star Wars?
Yeah.
In headcanon, they're you know, they have different dad, like they're half brothers. I think the idea
Couldn't
was
it also just be that it was Beru's family?
yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
in the
true.
in the original canon,
Yeah.
She could have been Beru Skywalker.
no,
Yeah,
because in the
that's
original canon, Owen was Ben's brother.
Well, yeah, I know. But I meant, like, in the narrative that they're telling Luke as to where he
Yeah.
came from.
Yes.
Why wouldn't he share... Like, Owen should have the same last
Yeah.
name.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that the way to fix that is that it's Beru's
Right.
brother or sister
Yeah.
who had
Yeah.
him.
She's a Skywalker.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. This is a complete journey.
Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah, it's a terrific book, and it just yeah, that's exactly what it's
We
supposed
should
to
have,
do.
like, the thing in here, so when you open it, it's just...
Like a card, like
Yeah.
one of
Should
those
you like
talking
you
cards.
turn the page several times and it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, like it's receding?
Yeah. They're
It's like a flip book.
They're like, it was a tremendous waste of money and pages, but we did it anyway, just for you guys.
for the
To
illusion.
simulate the movie, yeah.
Star Wars: Skywalker Strikes is the first volume of the new era of Star Wars comics from Marvel Comics. This was right out of the gate a really strong showing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have Rogue One, which is the predecessor to
A New Hope.
Hope, and then we have this, which comes right after A New Hope.
Yes. So
cool.
every agonizing second of Star Wars canon will be explored in some visual format or another.
You know what?
Like, because we got Rebels, that leads
That's
all
okay.
the way up to Rogue One. We got Rogue One, then we got A New Hope, and then we got this comic book series. And it should run all the way up to Empire. Unless they do a thing.
What's the do with thing?
Well, if they have any time jump at all, then there could be. I mean, there were years between A New Hope and Empire, supposedly, so they're not
Yes.
going to do everything.
They
They
can't-
will
they
do,
can't do
yeah.
There will be spaces where you can fit new stories.
I just wish they wouldn't get rid of Shadows of the Empire.
I know.
And I know they did it because they probably want to tell their own story.
Oh,
Yep.
you know why
Which
they,
is
you know
selfish.
how we know they got rid of it? Because Shadows of the Empire was almost the title for episode 7.
No!
Really?
Yeah. Hopefully you are all enjoying Rogue One. We're going to go see it today.
Yes,
so
we are.
check it out, and we'll talk more about it. We'll do a little video maybe where we talk about Rogue One.
Dude, it's gonna be
Good
half
idea.
cold when we go to see it. Do you
Yes.
know that?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know.
Yes, it's gonna be real bad.
Boy, how cold is Hoth?
I think it's like Kelvin.
Kelvin covers
Absolute
all
0.
temperatures.
I'm sorry, absolute 0.
So 0 Kelvin.
I think it's 0 Kelvin.
It's not gonna be that cold.
It's not 0 Kelvin.
We are gonna
Nothing's
have
0 Kelvin.
we're gonna have a real feel of
Nothing's Hoth.
-3 though.
Real feel of -3.
Yeah, that's
So
Hoth
like,
cold.
That's like really cold plus wind chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just why
Well, like, okay.
we're gonna be there.
Tauntauns are not indigenous to Hoth, right?
Right.
So, but they are kind of strong, resistant to cold.
Apparently.
Which is why you can ride a Tauntaun before you can fly a speeder.
Right, but they can't survive
In whatever storm Luke was in.
Right. So, they
So-
can survive cold temperatures, but not like the overnight cold temperatures.
Yes.
Right.
And so the question is there a species that exists that's really like that? Because don't forget,
Like a polar
Tauntauns are
bear?
actually reptiles.
Yes, they are. There
That
are
doesn't
no
make any sense.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
That makes zero sense.
Because they're
I was doing
cold-blooded.
nuts. Like,
Well, I guess they could hibernate like frogs in the winter.
That'd be amazing.
It
if
wasn't
that
dead.
tauntaun was really just hibernating. The worst part is the death scream.
He comes back like, I just put Luke in the dead
I shoved him in the
tauntaun.
tauntaun.
It died.
Your tauntaun died.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
it fell
impossible.
over.
They can't die in the cold. They're indigenous to this planet.
What do you mean?
Well, it just hibernates. Once they reach a certain temperature, they just hibernate.
They just slow down until they stop
Well,
doing anything.
But like it fell over.
Yeah, but it didn't fall kind of like in slow motion, like it was claymation.
Yeah,
it's not because
no,
it's a
that's
real
exactly
animal.
what it did. What does that mean? That means
that
it's
means
dead,
you
right?
slaughtered our
It-
tauntaun.
It laid down. It didn't die. It
Yeah,
just
it laid down. That means that what it really means is that you owe us 40,000 credits because those tauntauns are not cheap because we got to transport those things
I'm
here.
just saying maybe you might want to tell somebody about that.
Yeah, I didn't think I had to.
You said my tauntaun would freeze before I reached the first marker.
I was there when you said that. I said,
Yeah,
I'll
I said-
see you in hell.
Yeah,
Do you remember
and
that?
they
I
do
don't-
freeze. That's
I
what
don't-
happens. Their blood freezes. Everything freezes, and then they reanimate when it warms back up. I didn't say it would die. I said it would freeze.
Yeah. Since when is freezing death?
You know what? I'm gonna cut you open and shove somebody inside of you.
Well, that would be murder.
Nothing like what you did to that poor tauntaun. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys next week with another episode. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long.
Later.